we have some, additions and subtractions to the agenda. We're now going to be discussing item E under new business. Correct?
Correct, next meeting.
And we're going to add, hello, Mary.
I was saying this morning, it's one of the, it's been a month, let me tell you. Okay.
And we're going to add under new business, fundraising. Okay, any other changes to the agenda? Need a motion to accept the agenda,
And second.
okay? And please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And privilege of the floor. None at this time. Okay, thank you. Approval of the minutes of the May 9th meeting, please. Any changes, any corrections?
I move we be accepted.
Okay,
I second.
okay. Jim and Ellen Mary,
Take the vote.
all in favor?
Aye. There's that vote thing.
Yeah, right.
Discussion? None. The motion carries. Okay. And treasurer's report. Hi, Jack.
Hi Norman, thank you. Good evening, everyone. So this month, we took a little effort, but we got it set up now where we have 2 balance sheets and 2 profit and loss reports. One strictly for the operating general fund and one for the new capital new building fund. And also we have the checklist, and there was only one check so far, well, through the end of May from the capital account, so I just put that on the bottom, on the checklist there. Today there was a couple of checks that I asked Norma to sign, one for the reimbursement to the key account. It's for $160,000, $607.69.
Yes.
So the key looks low in this report, but we're gonna be adding $160,607 to there. So we should be well funded now for the rest of the fiscal year. So to the P&L for the regular general operating fund, with 1 month to go, the salary line is $1,000 under budget. And the first payroll in June, I think, was under budget as well, so it looks like for the year, we're gonna be right on or slightly under budget for the salaries, but as a percentage of the total, we're talking like a fraction of 1%, maybe a couple $1,000, so almost right on target. The other lines that we're under or staying under as far as the employee benefits, they haven't really changed. The books, I think, for the full year might end up being slightly over, but I'm not sure that the whole category library materials will be over. That's gonna be very close, but I think the books will be over. That's probably the only area that will really be over for the whole year.
Do we know why we're going to be over?
They've been ordering a lot lately, and I think we kinda lost track. They kinda lost track of the tab. They were trying to keep a running tab, but there was a lot of Baker and Taylor invoices up there, and
I
So-
cut them off in June, so they haven't ordered.
right, they're cut off now.
I'm thinking they should hit pretty
No more
close.
books.
Right.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
I know
right.
we're in library, but.
Right, the bar closed, right.
Can I ask a question about that? Do you know which area it is, or is it across the board, too many books?
Good question. Across the board, but mainly I think adult
Yeah.
books, because that's the one that, once in a while there's a big order for juvenile and teen, but normally the big, like $1,000 invoices that are stuck in the pile that come up, usually it's for the adult. So
Okay,
it's probably the adult that is the most over.
okay,
Because you can see year to date now, we're over by 3,000. Actually, yeah, if you look at it that way, we've spent 37,000 so far, and there's only 37 in the full year. So even if we did nothing else, we'd be over.
right,
And they're not all entered. They may be entered through
Okay.
through, I'd say, 3/4 of the way through April. So when you add in the May and the June, well, hopefully there won't be that many in June, but they
Right.
did have some orders that were pending, so they can't stop them, but
Sure.
it's probably gonna be over for the year a little bit, but the
Mhm.
whole subtotal for the category might not be over. But as far, it's nowhere near over as to, it's much lower than what the other areas that are under.
Right.
And the other categories are pretty much, oh, you can see the professional services now reflect taking out that, the fees that were associated with the new building project. Cause
Okay.
up until now, you know, that number's been wildly over because it was money that was, now we have it categorized, all set up right, so you can see that it's slightly under year to date. So they've all been moved to capital and set up on QuickBooks. And the grand total down with that moved is total expenditures year to date, 1,156,000, total budget 1,217,000, so almost 62,000 under. But adding back the books, the 62 is probably, let's say conservatively, 50,000
Okay.
under year to date, roughly. And then that 50,000, I'm always trying to show myself that it makes sense here, and it does, because it's mainly the health insurance line, the retirement line, and the salary line all add up to like 40-something thousand under, so that accounts for the underage, basically.
The building repairs line that we're under 12,000, we're gonna pay the painter,
Right,
right? And that's
Yeah.
gonna knock that down to about 2,000 or 3,000, I guess.
right,
Yeah.
right,
Okay.
right, exactly. So really, accounting for that, then maybe we might not be quite 50,000 under, but probably between 40 and 50 for the full year. But definitely under for the full budget.
The amount of money that we're transferring from the new building account to into the,
Into the key, right?
yeah, is that just for 2015?
Just for the year we're in now, right?
This fiscal year, that
You're right.
ends the end of this month?
Right,
Okay, so
I-
we didn't go back to the 2014-15?
no, not yet.
Okay,
Because I wanted to at least get the bulk of it is, you know, the 160 for the current year.
sure,
But I started preliminary work on the prior year and I came up with almost 20,000.
okay.
We just wanna make sure that the wording was that we're allowed to go back.
As
From
far,
the-
yeah,
And
far back as we can.
reimburse.
Right, cause
Yeah.
Stephen at RCLS thought that we might only be able to go back to the date that the board, that you guys did the resolution last year. So we kinda have to work on when that was and if that's true or not.
Okay,
But there's definitely gonna be more to be recaptured, I believe. It's just a question of, is it the full amount for the year, or is it at some point in time during that year?
it was like last spring, right,
Mhm.
February and March of last year?
Yeah, and the resolution seems to indicate that, that you can, that it backdates
Yes,
by the language, so I'll double check with Ben.
Right.
Stephen thought it was the date of the sign, of that resolution itself, but the language says heretofore money
right,
spent.
that's what I thought, that's why I
And
asked.
so I wanna
Right.
find out
Mhm.
how far back that means, I think there
Because-
is a little bit of a,
Because we did hire them in 2014,
Right.
right, the spring of 2014, 2015,
The
spring of
architects?
2015,
the architects.
right, before the 15-16 started, right?
Right, cause there were charges going back
Right,
and
so it's
forth.
like $15,000 or $20,000 we paid them
Right,
for the
before the,
preliminary
right.
drawings and everything, right,
I have a feeling Stephen is just probably being conservative with, you know,
Sure.
to play it.
right, but I
Well,
mean,
If we can do it, we can.
right, exactly, we can
right.
reimburse the general fund, we should,
Right,
thank you,
sure,
Go to buy
thank you.
more books,
there you go,
Right.
and cover all those books.
get it and spend it.
And then, I'm sorry. So then you see there's the balance sheet now for the
Mhm.
capital, it had 909 in it, and then after the checks from today, it'll be down to like 709 roughly, cause it was just two checks, the
Mhm.
160 plus that 43. And then there's the profit and loss on the other one for the capital, which is pretty much all the expenses that hit through the end of May.
Mm.
And then the donations are up there too, which was those two donations from Elaine and then the 2,500 from the building company,
Nice,
so they're in there as well. Okay. And then the checklist is here,
Yeah.
so, yeah. Great.
Any other questions for Deb?
Check 13976, is that a new building?
Yes, that's, some of these might have been done in early May, and then they're
Okay.
part of the amount that's being recaptured in the 160.
Okay.
So it's included in that list, and with the 160, I have a whole folder of copies of all of it, so if the orders wanna see it, we have copies of all the invoices and everything, of how we came up with that 160. Yeah, right, that's a good point. Some of these from early May might have been the ones that were, well, we were still getting the account set up, so that's part of the amount that was being transferred back to Key.
And the check for Jacobowitz and Gubitz too, right?
Yes, yep.
We didn't have any other expenses to the, like, we printed in-house those little, FAQs that we gave out, those
Right.
were printed in-house, so that was
Right.
not an expense. Okay. Alright,
Okay, so.
any other questions for Jack? May I have a motion to accept the treasurer's report, please?
I don't remember that
And
before.
Megan.
Could you name
Discussion?
someone, Miss?
Ellen, Mary,
Ellen,
and
Mary, and
Megan.
Megan. Discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jack.
Thank you.
And Matt, you're up, director's report.
Good evening, everybody. I'll try to make this quick since we have a lot of new business here. Well, biggest deal, I guess, is that after 38 years on the job, Joanne will be retiring at the end of this month. We're planning a retirement party for her. We have Ellen Lowe is being moved from one slot to another, so she's being promoted basically from a page to another position. Village historian Ed Connor will be on board just as a fill-in, substitute only for Ann, since Ann does a lot of gallivanting in the summer. And the summer's when we get a lot of people also
Yeah, right.
gallivanting through
Yeah.
for genealogical information. Newsletter was the big item of the month. It's finished and should be headed to the mailing house any day. And thank you, Emily, for supplying the copy for the void piece. Let's see here, what's important. Oh, I wanted to mention, I haven't read here, that there is a building committee slated to meet on June 27th at 6:30.
Mm-hmm.
And the architects was hoping that as many as the board members could come as possible, just because
Right.
there may be some actions needed to be taken at the following board meeting, and the more you know, the better. This is about the site plan, about some sort of major things about the design of the floor plan and the site itself. So if possible, the more the merrier. That'll be down here at 6:30 on June 27th.
Now, excuse me, I have that in my calendar as a work session, isn't that how we put it
It's, yes, I'm sorry, work
in?
session.
Yeah, okay, cause then it's not a committee meeting, so then everybody can show up.
Yes.
Okay.
I just spoke with Ben Gailey. He's reviewing 3 agreements, one with Orange Trust. We've talked about this a lot. This is a credit line. He's just gonna look at the language and make sure that it jives with the bond language, so that, we talked to Stephen Hofer from RCLS, the Chief Financial Officer, who said it was a good idea. We should have it in place just
Mhm.
in case of emergency, but just make sure that the language is such that you don't somehow end up stepping on the toes of the bond council. He's also looking at the Gilbane contract, that's the construction management, and will finalize the community foundations contract, so that Elizabeth Rowley will be here next month as well, and hopefully we'll finally be able to sign that agreement. The Gladys Brooks grant application was sent in. Thank you, Megan, for helping with that. I did receive a note that they've received it, so we'll just wait and
good.
see what happens. It's for, what was it, $50,000, right, for
Mhm.
YA equipment. The Friends have been up to a lot. They had a great Maiden Goshen event. I don't know if we've talked about this, some of this is becoming a blur now, but about 200 people showed up. It was good.
Yeah.
It was nice, it was very well attended. They have another book sale coming up on Friday if the weather holds out. And then, of course, the Great American Weekend book sale. And I'm trying to help find them some volunteers. If anyone else here knows of anybody that might want to spend some time over the Great American Weekend helping them out, please send them my way and I'll let Laura know. She's hoping to do 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, depending on whether she can get the manpower.
Yeah, Friday will be
So-
afternoon, and Sunday, I'm not sure how late they'll go.
I did talk to Michelle tonight, and she's going to list the Great American Weekend Book Sale as one of the events that teen volunteers can participate in. So hopefully we'll pick up some teen volunteers there. The Friends donated $2,000 to our summer reading program, which they generally do. I think for the last at least 5 years they've done that. It's very nice of them. Helps bring in more presenters, performers, and prizes. They also purchased a couple, and I don't remember which now. Do you, Jim? The museum passes?
Well, there's a new one, the Museum of Natural History.
That's right.
They have
Ooh.
25 passes or something, family passes.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I know what
Greg.
Meghan's got a little too excited.
Get them while you can, because there's
expensive.
25. and, you know,
Yeah. So we thought we'd see what
How
the
it goes.
response is to that. But I would think that'd be a big response.
Yeah.
Sure, that's great.
So that's a new one.
And they've also re-upped on,
The Guggenheim.
yes, the Guggenheim.
Ooh.
Did you do the math?
I can't put my kids there.
Maybe. That's one of the things in the newsletter. I remembered, by the way, I had said I would put that in the newsletter, so I did put a block in there of that we are doing this, that we have a number of new passes, et cetera. So that'll be on the next mail, so you can see it. It's there.
Okay.
I think it is. Let's see. Painting of the building. Well, the scraping started on Friday. So finally, what was it? 2009 or something that we first tried to get this building painted, but one thing after another came up. Finally, they're out there. Happy to see that. And the new AC was installed. So that's it. You know. It's a lot. Believe me, there's a lot more going on than these things reflect.
Really? No, there's not enough here.
But that's that. Any questions?
Okay. Committee reports, physical resources, new building, I hear we're getting paint,
I know what I want to mention.
Oh,
Excuse me, aren't those supposed to be two different categories?
We
Physical
talked about that.
resources
Okay.
and new
we
building?
oh, yeah, I
Because they're
thought-
two, the physical resources
Is
is
this
building.
right?
Yeah.
Right, and the new building committee is
Okay.
separate,
So we'll.
yeah.
Okay,
So first, physical resources. This building. Then I have nothing to say. I've said all
You've said
I
all
need to
about
say
painting.
about what's happening here.
okay.
New building, I wanted to remind you that the arborist has looked at the trees, and there's a $1,000 price tag attached to the work that he needs to do to, yes, everything comes with it. But it's probably a smart thing to do because at least you'll have a document, done by an expert on the state of the trees. It'll give us some, something to work off of going forward, because it looks like we're not gonna be able to save every tree as we had hoped.
Right.
But who are we to say we're not arborists, but we get the Orange County arborist to make a decision about that.
Is he doing the whole property or just the driveway?
Um,
Because when we were
whatever
discussing with
tree-
the engineer, we were talking about the trees in the
I
driveway.
thought it was
remember, with
beyond the driveway. I thought
Yeah,
it was
and
lower
I
down.
didn't know how far out he was gonna go.
I'll double check.
Okay,
Um,
yeah, because
Maybe-
$1,000 is a lot of trees, so
Yeah.
if he's gonna assess 50 or 60 trees for us, that's probably not so
I
bad.
think that the engineer said that, the arborist said that the report that we have on the trees, which is I think 7 years old, is
Yeah, no
not
good
very
idea.
accurate and it's outdated, and there's
Right.
been some significant changes since then.
Mm.
And we're looking to preserve as many trees as possible.
Right.
Right, and we needed an expert opinion because some of the trees had been cut for power lines, and it depends on,
Yeah.
some of them are storm damage, some of them, I can't remember all the details, but
Yeah.
a couple were really close to the edge of the driveway. Can we save one and sacrifice one? Which one should we save? That kind of discussion was what we needed
The
to
ones
have.
that are along the road that goes in, it looks like Orange and Rockland, whoever it was,
Yeah, they
decided,
butchered them.
we'll just cut these now, we want to come back for 10 years.
Yeah.
They just,
Oh, they're
the
awful.
trees are just mutilated.
They really are
Where the
sad.
power lines are
Yeah.
there.
But it's possible that because the roots are there and the trunk is there, that the things they'll fill in. I mean, that's the kind of thing we need to find out from this guy.
Right, because some trees are gonna have to go, and if those trees aren't gonna survive, then, because we're gonna bury the power lines, so the trees could come back, so if they think that the trees will, that's what we needed an expert for, to decide whether or not we can save those trees, but we're gonna have to sacrifice something, cause in order to put the driveway with
Right.
those.
And also where the thermal heating, whatever,
But you
Actually,
don't
they
have wells.
managed to plot the wells out in such a way as to not disturb the trees that were
Right.
there.
Oh, excellent.
Yeah, so that they did that, they kept in mind saving as many trees as possible. Kinda defeats the purpose of a green building if we cut down all the trees, so. So they were in agreement with that.
Or the
But-
park-like atmosphere.
Yeah, right, the
that
park
we
like
did.
that, right, but he was very thoughtful about that, the engineer, and
Mhm.
explained how they could do it in a certain, based on the canopy and the age of the tree and everything else, I was impressed. Right?
I think people are gonna drive by the new library 2 years after it's up and ask, how many years has that been there?
Yeah, absolutely,
They're-
absolutely,
and
with
you
all
say
those
2
old
years, they
trees
say,
there,
that's impossible,
right,
because you got all these mature trees in the
they're
exterior.
beautiful, yeah,
It's gonna, I think it's gonna be great.
yeah, I really do too.
The meeting, I have to tell you, I will not be at the meeting of the 27th.
Yeah,
It is my husband's retirement dinner after
Yep.
15 years in
Congratulations.
education. 15
Congratulations.
years, thank you. So I will not be there, so
It's quite an accomplishment.
hopefully Bernie will be here and he can share.
Good.
So I apologize for that in advance.
It's a good cause,
What?
it's a good cause, that the
Yes.
reason
Yes.
you're not gonna be there. What's that, I'm sorry?
It's not part of the minutes.
What?
Her statement,
Oh, okay.
it's not
Oh.
part of the minutes, no.
No, that I won't be here at the meeting though.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll put it down as a reminder at the end of the minutes.
Okay. Okay. So,
Um,
anything else?
Yeah, I don't know if there's any other new building, pretty much covered it, didn't we?
I was driving past the other day. It looks like the sign on the fence.
Danny's working on it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And Danny does everything, so he didn't wanna just hang the sign up. We have a banner basically. At some point when we have, hopefully, if we, at some point we need to do this again, talk about the branding. We wanna,
Uh-huh.
this is just a plain sign that says future home of the Goshen Public Library and Historical Society. But it's just a banner,
Sure.
it doesn't have any, it's black, it's red and white or black and white or
Yeah.
something
In
simple.
fact, it's canvas, isn't it?
Is it?
Canvas?
I don't know, but Danny's putting it up with a wooden frame, so it actually doesn't get blown around by the wind and looks,
Nice.
and looks nice. So that's what you're seeing, he's working on it. So the $1,000, should I go ahead and,
I think that's,
I mean,
I
we
mean,
Yeah, do you need a motion? I don't know.
I just
I
run it by
don't
you
think
guys
it's,
if that
well,
seems fair.
$1,000 seems fair, and I don't think we need to vote on
Yeah.
$1,000, you have the
I
authority
will
to
ask
do
him though
that.
about what they're gonna cover, what does that
Yeah,
cover, just so you know.
because, how many trees were there, I don't remember, I know the
Was it
engineer
like
told,
57 or something?
something like that, it's almost
Yeah.
60 trees, we're probably going to save about 40, 45 of them,
Yeah.
and if we have to know which ones
Mhm.
are most viable, so yeah, I
If
would
you can
guess you'd
save
have to,
just 2 or 3 of those trees along that driveway,
oh yeah, that'd be
then
wonderful.
the $1,000 would be saved, because to put in a decent sized tree,
Yeah,
to plant,
absolutely,
to
would
plant
cost us so much more than that.
And he's gonna look at each individual tree to
That's what I
determine-
want,
okay.
that's
Yeah.
what Matt's gonna
Yeah.
find out,
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's
Yeah.
the arborist?
the county arborist
It is-
from,
Oh, okay.
yeah, right?
Pete, is it first name?
It's,
Pete?
I think so.
Peter,
But
Oh,
Jay
okay.
mentioned his
But
name
it's
at
definitely
the,
the Orange
and
County.
it,
yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know him, so it didn't stick in my head.
I can't remember his
I
last
don't
name.
remember
And that's something you report on at the next meeting. Will he have a
Oh, well, I
report or
guess,
no, we don't know
I don't know.
his timeline?
I'll check.
Is he gonna report that to us or to the engineer?
Oh, to the engineer.
Yeah, so then the engineer would,
So we may get that
Yeah,
information at the 27th when we meet.
okay.
yeah, see if we can do that.
Okay. Anything else on the new building, going once?
I think that's it. It's enough, right?
Community resources?
I don't have anything new. I went to the meeting, the all day
Placemaking.
thing and the placemaking